Don't be nervous.
I'm so nervous.
No, we're live. Don't worry. So, hi everyone. Welcome back again to the last I don't want to say finally, but also I'm like kind of happy I made it through this far. The last live stream for the month celebrating 1 year of Steminin. So, my guest today is Adilene.
Adilene, yeah.
Adilene. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Everyone is saying hello in the chat. So hi to everyone. Wow, everyone is saying hello. Before we start, I just wanted to say to everyone that this video is sponsored by Dev Mountain. And if you don't know who they are, you can look at the link in the description. But basically, they provide coding boot camps in the States, and they have a lot of different locations. And you can stay for free if you take one of their, you can stay for free in one of their housings if you take one of their full-time courses. So that's pretty cool if you want to learn to do some coding. So back to you. Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Just a little tired, like I was telling you. That's why I'm feeling so loopy right now. No,
Yeah.
but I wanted to tell everyone. I want you to tell everyone. So you did your bachelor's.
Yes.
You said biological engineering?
I was a bioengineer, and I switched my major
to biology
at the halfway through my third year.
Okay. So I think that's really interesting. I think we could also talk about why you decided to switch. And then now you're working at a company and you're going to be hopefully starting your PhD soon. You're in the process of applying.
Yes.
Which is really exciting. And you're in California right now.
Mm-hmm.
And how's the weather?
It's pretty hot. There was a couple wildfires like last week, so you can just imagine typical California weather.
It was like 15 degrees today in Zurich. The weather here is bipolar. So I sort of wanted to start off from the very beginning and kind of go in chronological order. So I'm curious to know why did you decide to go study I can't even remember the name of the program. You said biomedical
engineering.
Oh, okay. So why did you decide to study biomedical engineering? Did you decide because you were, did you always know that you wanted to study biomedical engineering? Or is it sort of like you kind of decided on the fly? Like what led you to apply and then accept and study for a bit?
So I've always really liked math. Like math had always been like one of my strong points, and so I had biology. So for a really long time, I'm first generation actually college student in my family in the United States. So it was kind of weird because I couldn't really ask anyone like, oh, what should I study? You know, I didn't really have that like available to me. So I kind of did my own research, and I was like, oh, I like math. I like this. And bioengineering kept popping up a lot. And I was like, look, engineering looks cool. I love coding. Back in the day, you know, everyone had to code their little MySpace pages with JavaScript. So you kind of learned a little bit of coding. And I was like, I like coding. I like doing this. Like, I could do it. I could totally do it. You know, I had that mindset, like, yes, I'm going to do it. And, you know, I got accepted into the program. I was super excited. I started taking it, took coding classes, took math classes, all that stuff. And obviously, as a bioengineer, you have to take biology courses. They're required. So I started taking all these biology courses, and I was just like, I like biology, but I think I like it more than I like coding, and then I like math and all these other classes I had to take in physics and all that. And it just kind of started dawning on me that maybe the engineering portion wasn't necessarily for me. And I think as a college student, that's something that you really have to like keep in mind when you're taking these classes. Like, yeah, you have all these prerequisites and you have all these other classes you have to take, like your, I don't know, electives or whatever, but they're meant for you to kind of like branch out of your comfort zone to kind of figure out if that's really what you want to do. And for me, you know, one of my elective courses was a plant botany class.
Okay.
So I took that and I just really liked it. And I was like, oh, maybe I should study plants, it's always kind of been there. And I went to talk to my advisor, and she told me, how about you take a break from engineering courses for a quarter and kind of explore that a little bit? I mean, the classes will count as electives towards you, so it's not a big deal. And I was like, okay. So I did what she told me, and I went back to her at the end of the quarter, and I was like, I want to change my major. So
Okay.
that was the deciding factor for me.
Okay. So whenever, like, just a side note, going back a little bit, whenever I hear like plant botany, I always think of The Martian and how Matt Damon could only survive on Mars because he was a botanist. So that's
Yeah.
what I think of.
I I watched that movie, and the botany aspects of it are actually 100% on point.
That's
Like,
great.
what he did is totally possible.
Okay, that's
So
really
it's
cool
really,
when
yeah.
movies are. I mean, I heard a lot of stuff about how that movie was a lot more accurate than
Mhm.
the other movie. I mean, for sure, when I watched Interstellar, I was like, no.
Yeah,
And
I was
also,
like,
Matt Damon was the bad guy. Sorry,
yeah,
spoilers. And I was like, this is
no.
unbelievable. And also,
Yeah,
Matthew McConaughey was the main character, and I was like, you should be in a rom com.
yeah, I get it.
Anyway, that's diverging a bit. So my question, I also wanted to know, you said that you decided to do biology purely. What do you think that biology gave you more that
But,
biological
yeah.
biomedical engineering couldn't?
Um, I think it's because biology is so broad. You have all these specialties that fall under biology. You have chemistry, well, organic chemistry more so, but you have chemistry, physical chemistry, you have the micromolecular, you have plant, you have entomology, there's all these specialties that fall under biology. So if you really think about it, biology is very broad in the sense that you could dabble a little bit in each element to kind of find your niche, to find where you feel more comfortable. Um, while bioengineering is more kind of like you're more focused on the bio, which is like people, and like providing medical advances like that glass heart that I don't know if you read about it. They made a glass heart. They have
Mm-mm.
like robotic limbs, all that stuff. That's more what bioengineering does. So, it's kind of like you kind of have to pick what you really are looking for.
Okay, so you have to be more maybe intentional with where you want to
Yeah.
apply your work. Okay, so I guess if you don't even know what you want to do, then maybe going like into a biology instead of biomedical engineering would be better because you have
Yeah.
so many different options. Yeah, I
Hmm.
always think that's cool when you can like sort of when you start doing something you can always pivot and like the more you do, the more you can filter out what you don't like.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so I guess in biology like if you do so many different things, yeah, you can easily start to figure out what you like and what you don't like.
Hmm.
So I would definitely take a plant botany course. I feel like that would be helpful one day when I go to Mars.
Definitely.
And also in like other aspects in life. But so right now you're working and you're also
Yeah.
applying for PhD positions.
Yes.
So after your bachelor's,
Hmm.
why didn't you decide to go into straight into a PhD slash maybe a master's program?
I did think about it. The professor I was actually doing research with at the time really kept pushing me towards applying to a PhD program. He always kept saying you know what you're doing, you're good, you're really good at your research, just apply. But there was always like this like voice in the back of my head that was like, are you sure? Because if I was going to apply for a PhD, it was probably going to be something similar to what I was already doing research in. So I was just kind of like, I like this research, but is it really like a project that would be for me? Because start thinking about PhDs, you kind of have to start thinking about the projects that you're going to be working on. And I that project was highly molecular plant based. It was
Okay.
a lot of molecular plant biology. And I don't know, I was just kind of like, I don't know if I really like this, you know, and the PhD student I was actually working with at the time, she got pregnant. So I ended up taking over a lot of her project just because she needed to have all that data done. So I
Mm-hmm.
became like the primary like researcher of her project while she was on leave and all that stuff. So I kind of got a taste for it, and I was like, no, I don't think I want this.
Okay.
And afterwards she obviously she put me on the paper because I had the majority of the data from the project and stuff. And I told the professor, I was like, you know, I don't think this is really for me. I kind of want to take a break and figure out what science I actually like the most to pursue as a higher level degree. And he told me okay, and he was the one that actually would send me like job applications, and he's like, try this, try that, you know. And he finally sent me one for the job that I have now. And I do talk to him still. He always checks up on me, but I think this is like this is where I can grow the most as a scientist and as a woman in STEM, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So he's very understanding, and he still encourages me to pursue whatever I need to, and he gives me ideas and all that stuff. So it's really nice.
Okay. So why is it that you say that you can grow more in this position than in like the last position you held? Like what is it about this job that lets you grow, and are you allowed to say what you're working in, or like sort of like which field or anything, or
Well, I can tell you some of the public projects that I work
uh-huh.
on.
Or like
So
what you are, like you said you're a
yeah,
researcher.
so I'm a junior lab specialist. That's my position. So what I do is I get projects handed to me, and it's my job to, you know, carry them through. And right now, one of the projects I'm working on is this disease bank for citrus. So I inoculate healthy rootstock citrus that sometimes we graft, sometimes we don't graft with other varieties to see if they're resistant against that specific virus or bacteria or whatever it is that we have in stock, just so that we can make resistant varieties that can be
Mm-hmm.
agriculturally used. So that's one of the projects I'm working on right now. And then another little side project I'm working on right now involves in an early detection method for the Huanglongbing virus, also known as HLB in
Okay.
citrus. So that's one of the other little projects. Well, not little, but one of the other side projects I'm working
Yeah.
on.
So it seems to me like this job that you have right now is like you get to work on a lot of different projects.
Mhm.
Would you say that's sort of why you feel like you can grow more in this position than in your last one?
Yeah, I definitely think so, especially because I felt like if I were to have stayed in my other position, I probably would have been pushed more in towards following like an academic career
Mm-hmm.
after PhD versus here it's kind of open doors in the sense that I could go into industry,
Mm-hmm.
into the agriculture industry and stuff like that. So that's why I say it's a lot more open in a sense for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it also has given me like, I don't know how to say it, but it helps me a lot to do outreach to younger girls,
Okay.
especially in the Hispanic and Latin communities that might also be first generation students that don't really know what they want to do but like science. And you know, I used to do the plant discovery day at the university I used to go to, and we would have underprivileged kids come and we would talk to them about science. And it's kind of like trying to get more young women involved in the sciences, maths, for them to pursue something and not feel like just because they're a girl they can't do it, or just because they see mostly guys or men in those careers doesn't mean they can't do it themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I think that's super important.
Yeah.
So I wanted to know, oh, I had a question, but I completely forgot. I do this so often. I feel like everyone hates me for it. Please write in the comments if you hate me for this. I'm kidding. Don't. No, but I wanted to know. So now you are deciding to do a PhD.
Yeah.
So what changed? Why now have you decided, okay, now I want to do one? And on top of that, actually answer that question first. Actually, can you please answer that question first?
Well, I thought about it. I sat down and talked to with the professor that I actually work with now,
Oh,
and
okay.
he like asked me all these questions, and he was like, you know what, like you're pretty bright. Like, why don't you pursue a higher degree? Like, get a master's if you don't want a PhD, or
Mm-hmm.
get your PhD. And I sat there and I was like, I'm a little scared. It's a little intimidating to think about it now because I haven't been in school for, it would have been 3 years when we had that conversation. And he was like, so, like, it's just classes, research. You're already doing the research. It's not like you don't know what you're doing. And I was like, okay, maybe I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I talked to him about it, and the more conferences I got to go and talk to people about it, they told me, like, get a PhD. You don't have to work in academia if you have a PhD. There's positions in agriculture. And if you come out with a very strong CV, there's no reason why those positions shouldn't be available to you. I mean, unless they're taken up, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, and that's something that people forget often is that you don't have to follow the academic route if you do decide to do a PhD.
yeah. So for me, it was kind of like an aha moment, like, oh, I don't have to be a professor. I could just be a researcher, which is really what I like. I honestly am a horrible teacher. I cannot teach. I
Mm-hmm.
have said before, I'm just not good at it. And I give props to any teacher, anyone that tutors. Like, I give you so many props because that's amazing. I can't do that. But I'm at least admitting to it. And that's why I'm like, I can't be a professor. These kids would be like horrible. they would they would get F's. Like, I can't teach.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So, in the last PhD, I guess, offer sort of that you got, it was in a subject that you weren't really interested in, right? I
Yeah.
mean, like, it was, I guess it just sounded like it was dull to you, like you wanted to
Yeah.
do something different. But now with like the encouragement and with people being like, yeah, it's just classes. But I'm still thinking you must have found a new project or something else that really piques your interest that you would still want to go study it for 4 years.
So I actually started working with this bacteria called spiroplasma,
Okay.
and it really does look like spirals if you look at it under the microscope. Like they kind
Okay.
of, like a pogo stick, how it
Yeah.
like compresses, and so that's how they move. So if you look at them
Yeah,
under a
yeah.
microscope, they squish and then they kind of plunge. Um, and it's very hard to culture it. And it's very hard to find under microscopes, and it's just a crappy bacteria to work with. But it's
Okay.
the closest thing we have to being able to actually work with HLB, because right now HLB is not like a virus that's available for culture. No one's been
Mhm.
able to culture it, and we're not allowed to work at it with it as as scientists yet. So they actually just made a BSL-3. I don't. A lot of people don't know what that is. It's a bioscience level 3 laboratory facility, and we
Okay.
just got training for it on Monday. And that facility is going to be to just work with the Huanglongbing virus, because if it were to be an outbreak of it, all the citrus varieties around here would be at danger. Not that
Oh.
they kind of are already. The county I live in is already under quarantine because they found some infected trees,
Oh,
but
wow.
it would be even worse. They're trying to contain it in Northern California right now because they also found some up there. So it's becoming a really big issue, and this is why the UCs are kind of collaborating and trying to find something to stop it. Because as of right now, once you have the virus, it's kind of like in humans. You have the virus, your body has to either fight it off, or it kind of just stays there and you become resistant towards it.
Mhm.
So they're trying to find a more resistant strain of a citrus that they can graft other varieties onto that won't be affected by that virus. So that's really what piqued my interest. So I'm just kind of like, yes, I want to do that. I want to work with that.
Okay, so now the positions that you're applying for are with this virus, like to
Yes,
research this virus.
yes.
That's really cool. I hope that in the research you guys fight off the virus and you don't
We
kill
hope.
all the lemons.
Actually, the agriculture in Florida took a really big hit a couple of years ago. Like 99% of their citrus trees were infected with this virus.
Wow, that's wait, in Florida?
in Florida, because Florida was one of the big citrus producers, and after Florida, it's California. But 99% of Florida was affected by this virus.
And when was this?
A couple of years ago, I
Oh,
can't remember.
wow.
Yeah, and so now they have USDA quarantine facilities that are supposed to clean the varieties off and ship them to where I work now, which is for the CDFA, the California. Um, Man, I can't remember, but it's the agriculture branch of the California. We watch the agriculture, and we're supposed to make sure that the varieties are clean and keep them under our quarantine in case anything does happen again in Florida. We have a backup for those varieties, and we can send them back.
Well, it seems like it's really important stuff, especially if, because I know we get our orange juice in Canada from Florida. So,
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. A lot of people don't realize how something so little can affect us, like in a grand scale of things. But I mean, it's like plants. People are just like, whatever, it's plants, we'll be fine. And it's kind of like, no, we're not going to be fine. It affects all the varieties. Like, there's not just one tree or one type that it affects. It's all of them.
yeah.
It literally does not discriminate. So it's a big deal.
So I wanted to know next, throughout all of your journey, which seems like you've had a lot of different thoughts about, like, what do I want to do? Like, I'm not sure. It's like maybe a lot of uncertainty and then a lot of clarity. And I wanted to know, what is the best advice you've ever gotten?
The best advice I ever got was, you're never too old to go back to school.
That's really good advice. A lot
So
of people, yeah.
yeah,
Sorry.
because to me, it was kind of more like a rush because I was just like, oh no, I'm going to be too old when I go back. I can't be that old, you know? And it's kind of like, no, there's some people that, yeah, they can graduate with their bachelor's and go straight into a master's or a PhD, and that's totally fine. And if that works for you, go for it, you know? But there's other people like me that you don't want to go into a PhD program or a master's program and have that uncertainty lingering in the back of your head, like, should I have really done this? Because I think that if you're going to go to a program like that, you need to be 100% sure, or pretty close to 100% sure that that is what you want.
Yeah.
Sometimes a couple years off is good. I mean, work in those fields, branch out a little bit, dabble a little bit in different specialties, and see what really fits you and what you really like. And then after that, decide if you want to go back to school or not. Because
Yeah.
sometimes you don't even need a higher degree for a specific job that you might actually end up liking or wanting. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I find that a lot of the time people are worried about getting everything done like super quickly, super young, which also I don't like. It seems like it's sort of like a checklist. Like,
yeah.
okay, like get my bachelor's, get my master's, like get married, have a child, like, it's sort of like, and then once you complete all of those things, you'll be happy. And
Yeah.
newsflash to everyone listening, you're not.
It's not that great.
No, it's not how it works. And basically, you just have to, like, really enjoy the journey. Like, you really just need to figure out how to make yourself happy throughout that journey. And there's no rush. Like, I like to think about it like this: I have my entire life to do my PhD. Or I also equivalently have my entire life to work. So I could take time off of work to do my PhD, or I can decide to work and put the PhD off. Like, obviously, later in life, maybe it becomes more complicated if you have a family, but people do it. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. I
And,
know.
oh,
Oh, go ahead.
no,
It's
no, no. I
fine.
was going to change the subject.
I was gonna say, when I was an undergrad, there was a 37-year-old that's just started her PhD that worked
Okay.
in the lab. So really, like, it's never too late, honestly. And I do know some postdocs that are like 24, 25, and I'm just like, how? Like, it freaks me out. I'm just like, no, you're so young. I can't take you seriously.
No, yeah, exactly. And yeah, there was a PhD student in my old lab at McGill, and she was the age of our professor. So it's just kind of funny.
Yeah.
But there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And my next question for you is, what is the best advice that you can give someone that wants to pursue biology?
I would say don't let administration put you in a like generalized bubble because
Okay.
they will try to do that just to get, well, I mean, in America, schools are really weird. So they usually try to get you out as soon as they can. But there's a little bit of leeway. I would say, take a couple different classes. Like when I actually switched my major to biology, I took an entomology course. I took plant courses. I took molecular, micro, genetics. I tried to take as many that I could so that I could kind of figure out what I really wanted to emphasize on. And then after that, I took more specialty courses. So,
Okay. So you're saying that they always want to put you in a general track?
yeah, like they want you to take your chemistry, your physics, and just, bio,
Ah,
whatever, and just out, you're done. Kind
okay.
of, no, dabble a little bit.
Yeah. But that's really good that your program had this requirement that you have to choose a specialization.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
oh,
I'm
sorry.
like, there's some people that graduated with no specialty, so it's possible, but I just felt like having a specialty would kind of benefit me in the long run. So that's when I went to tell them like I wanted a specialty.
And
But
why do you think it will benefit in the long run?
because I already kind of knew that I did like working with plants, and my school had a really strong botany program and plant biology program, so I was like I might as well take these courses now if I already know I want to do something in this field. And then the molecular and micro was also kind of like I like these subjects, like might as well, just take these courses too.
Okay.
So, I mean, if that's what you like, if you can kind of figure out what you kind of like, yeah, you know, get a specialty. But if you can't, a generalized biology degree is not a bad thing.
Okay. And then my next question is, what is the worst advice you've ever gotten?
Oh man, I have to think about that one a little bit. I try to keep negative people away.
Yeah.
Um, I think the worst advice I have gotten was just like, it was kind of like, whatever, just do it. If you don't like it, then you don't like it, but just, you might as well just finish it. And it's kind of like, oh, this was regarding a PhD program, but in my head, I was like, no, why would I put myself through that if I'm already going into it knowing that I'm not going to like it,
Yeah.
you
No,
know?
and that's exactly how I think, but in terms of books. Like if
Yeah,
I get halfway through a book and I don't like it, I have no problem putting that book down and never finishing it.
exactly. But like going back to you saying that people like to check things off, like I think that that's what it comes down to. It's kind of like, whatever, if you don't like it, you don't like it, but you might as well just finish it. And it's kind of like, no, why would you finish something you completely don't like or hate or whatever?
Yeah.
And why would you put yourself through that? I mean, on top of like having depression and, going to a PhD program, which is already stressful enough and triggers mental illness a lot of the times, like, why would you go into it knowing that you're not going to like it?
Yeah,
So,
exactly. And then my last question for you is, what is the coolest thing about plant biology slash microbiology? And that could be something like really general, like, oh, we saved the world, or it could be something that you read recently, like in a paper or in like in like science news or something like that. Like, what is the coolest thing about your field?
that we save your oranges. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding.
No, that
Um,
is really cool.
I think one of the coolest things that I read, which was pertaining to the project that I'm working on with the HLB, was I was trying to find ways to graft like a single leaf into a tree. And the fact that I like read this paper and people have actually been doing this since like 2014, I was like, my mind is blown. I never knew in my life that you could literally cut off a leaf and put it into a tree and it would grow. Like
So,
it's a
like,
leaf,
you
you
pull
know?
off the leaf and you put it in. How do you put it in a tree?
So I have a piece of wood to show you.
Okay.
Um, this is a peeled bark, or this is actually a citrus tree, but it's peeled, so usually it would be green. So what we do is we cut it, and we kind of make a pocket and insert the scion, which is the new tree that's going to grow, and it's going to look like this. So this is the tree we grafted, and this is the rootstock.
Wow.
So you can kind of see like the little line that it makes like a callus of where it took it. So the leaf is crazy. It like blows my mind. You literally cut off a leaf, you kind of cut the petiole a little bit, and you stick it into the pocket. And you put like parafilm over it, and the leaf will actually continue to grow.
That's crazy.
My mind was blown. I was like, plants are freaking awesome. You
Yeah.
can cut stuff and they'll still grow.
I'm definitely going to rewatch The Martian now
Yeah,
and see how
you
far that
should.
takes me.
You should. That guy with his potatoes, I swear, he was genius for thinking that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for talking with us and talking about your field and everything and sharing everything. I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for inviting me to be on here.
Yeah. So everyone, I'm just so awkward at signing off and everyone knows it. But basically just wanted to say thank you and thank you to everyone for watching for the last month of live streams. I know a lot of people didn't like them, but I know a lot of people did like them. So I'm really thankful for everyone that tuned in to watch them. And thank you so much again for coming out and letting me interview you.
Well, thanks. I had fun. It's always
Okay.
fun to talk about what you do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.